Here we go. Parshas Miketz. This week we had dreams. In the book of Parasha, we talked about this last year, I think. In the book of Parasha, there are 10 dreams. What are the 10 dreams in the book of Parasha? Let's see how many dreams you remember. What are the dreams? Who had dreams? What? Yaakov Avinu had a dream. What kind of a dream did he have? The ladder. That's one.
Yes.
Yaakov Avinu had a second dream. You know what the second dream of Yaakov Avinu was?
No.
In Lavan's house with the sheep. He had a dream with spots and lines and everything else. Okay?
That's what dream too?
So Yaakov had 2 dreams. Okay, that's 2. Who else had dreams?
Yosef.
Yosef had how many dreams?
2.
2 dreams.
Yeah, one
with
brother.
the corn or whatever it is, the wheat, and one with the stars.
Stars, yeah.
So that's 4 dreams. Who else had dreams?
Baker.
Paro. How many dreams did Paro have?
2.
2.
Baker.
Paro also had 2 dreams. Now we're at 6.
Yeah.
Who else had dreams?
Baker.
The baker and the butler.
Button, yeah. 2.
Now we're at 8. Who else had dreams? So far you got the easy ones. Those 8 are the easy ones. Avraham Avinu had a dream. He had a dream of the Brit Ben Absarim when he was the 2 pieces and the fire came down in between. It says he had a dream. Okay, that's 9. Lavan had a dream. Lavan said to Yaakov, last night Hashem came to me in a dream and said to me, don't bother Yaakov, don't touch him, don't hurt him.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But our dreams, I never heard of it, or maybe forget.
Avraham Avinu.
Repeat it again.
He had a dream where he had different animals cut in half, split, and the Shekhinah came in between them to show all the korbanot. It was called the Brit Ben Absarim. It's in Parshas Lech Lecha.
Lech Lecha?
Yeah. Well, we don't have a chumash to show you, but one day we'll show you. Okay? Now, in Yosef's dream, Yosef's position was to feed the world. That is called, in English, the person who's in charge of feeding the world is called a quartermaster. In the army, the person in charge of the food was called the quartermaster. Quarter means your house. If a soldier is being punished and he is restricted to his barracks, he'd be called, you're restricted to your quarters. You can't leave your house.
Like
Master.
Headquarters is the same thing.
Headquarters means the head of all the houses of the camp.
Yeah, Machani.
Okay? So Yosef, he was the quartermaster. His job was to feed the world. Nowhere in his dreams was he a king.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
No way.
They bowed to him because he controlled the food. The sun, moon, and stars bowed to him. But nowhere did Yosef say, I'm going to be a king. Who made Yosef the king?
Brothers.
The brothers.
Yeah.
The brothers, their worst fear was their own fault.
Yeah.
Because they said in their mouths, are you going to be the king over us?
That's it.
Boom. The minute they said it,
Amen.
that's what it was. So the irony is that we often, with our mouths, give authority or power to other people, not realizing that we're doing this. The only person we're really hurting with our speech and with our thoughts is ourselves. Something very important.
Creating
Next.
that stuff.
Right.
Creating.
We create the problems.
Yeah.
It says that the brothers went down. It says the brothers of Yosef, Achei Yosef, went down. So Rashi says, up until now, they were always called the sons of Yaakov.
Yeah.
This is the first time the Torah identifies them as the brothers of Yosef. What does Rashi say the reason is? It teaches us that as they were going down to Egypt, they had a meeting, and they said, we're really sorry with what we did. Maybe it was a mistake. We know Yosef was sold to Mitzrayim. Maybe he's alive, maybe he's not. But if he's alive, we have to get him back. And one of the brothers says, how are we going to do that? Well, we'll have to buy him back. It could be expensive. Makes no difference. It seems they took extra money with them to buy him back. And if we have to fight to get him back, we'll fight to get him back. So on their way down to Egypt, the Torah calls them now the brothers of Yosef. Because it's the first time they were being brothers. Okay. Rav Gabriel Rabinowitz, he's a Rav Gamliel Rabinovich. He has a Pirush, a sefer called Tiv HaTorah. He says something very interesting. he says, the minute the brothers realize they made a mistake, and they're sorry, and they want to get Yosef back, that's the start of doing teshuvah, correct? The minute they started doing teshuvah, you know what the irony is? Things got from bad to worse. That means you would think, I did a mistake. Hashem will punish me. If I start doing teshuvah, my life should be getting better. He says it's just the opposite. They go down to Ephraim, they don't find him. Then they're accused of being spies. Then Shimon is taken away. And now they got to bring Binyamin down. Now their father's more upset. Literally, the minute they start with the regret, we made a mistake, let's correct it, life got worse and worse and worse, as if to say it can't get any worse, and it got worse again. Then Binyamin takes the cup, and he's accused of it, and now they're all going to be arrested. Literally, it just was downhill. He says, we see the same by Yosef. Potiphar's wife says to Yosef, let's get together. Yosef was about to say yes, and then Yosef says, no, I'm not going to do it. And he walks out saying, shoo, I dodged a bullet, Baruch Hashem, I didn't do I didn't do the Avera. From that moment on, did his life get better or 100 times worse? 100 times worse. Now he gets arrested, he's accused of rape, he's thrown in jail for 10 years, he's thrown in jail for 2 more years. Like, hello, I would have been better off doing the Avera.
Be good.
I'd be a happy man, and I'd have money, and I'd have a position, and I'd be living a wonderful life. That means, it seems, he says, the irony is that when a person realizes they made mistakes, and they begin to do teshuvah, it's almost as if we have to clean away the Avera.
Take time.
So, until you get to the point where you recognize you made a mistake, there's nothing to clean. The minute you start realizing there's a mess, so now you have to start scrubbing. Well, while you're scrubbing, things get worse. It's the irony of it all, that things get worse while you're scrubbing. But eventually it gets clean. Eventually things, work out in the end.
Yeah.
And I told you I have a sign in my office that says, everything will be all right in the end.
Yeah.
If it's not all right,
it
it means it's not the end. Okay? So we know that. Okay? Everything will be all right in the end. He has over here a story. There's a famous story, Rabbi Beryl Wine wrote it down. Rabbi Beryl Wine grew up in Chicago. And for many years he was a rabbi in Miami. And then now he lives in Eretz Yisrael, and he speaks, he's a historian. He enjoys history. The Rabbi Beryl Wine is a historian. And he brings out a story, I guess, that he was once speaking in Detroit. And the editor of the Detroit Free Press was at the luncheon, was at the speech. And he noticed that the editor of the Detroit Free Press was always very pro-Israel. All the editorials, the newspaper, all the articles were very pro-Israel. We have newspapers in New York that no matter what happens in Israel, it's always negative. It always projects Israel as the villain. There are papers here that do that. And that's what Trump is so upset about. He says fake news, fake news, fake news.
Yeah.
The United Nations, the same thing. No matter what happens in Israel, Israel is wrong. Now, the representative to the United Nations, Mrs. Haley, who represents the United States, is giving it back to the United Nations, saying to them, no more of this garbage, no more making Israel always the bad guy. Let's look at the facts. Let's get out of the fake news. That's the new term everybody uses, fake news. The truth is, even the news is not fake, but I can tell you news and I can twist it 1,000 different ways. And that's what happens. That's what's really the fake part of the news, is it's very often biased. It's very much leaning one way or the other, no matter how you report it. Okay. Anyway, he once went over to the editor of the Detroit Free Press, and he said to him that you always seem to have a very pro-Israel position. You're not even Jewish. He's not even Jewish. I think he was Spanish. I think he was from Mexico. He says, how come you have such a pro-Israel approach? And that's Rabbi Wein was curious to know why. This is the story he says. He says, when we came to the United States, we were very poor. It was just my mother and me. And my mother got a job in a Jewish home as a housekeeper. She was a live-in housekeeper. And I was a kid, 5, 6 years old, and we were growing up in the house. I guess my mother had a room, and she took care of this Jewish family, Orthodox Jewish family. Anyway, the family in December went away for Hanukkah. And they were coming back from their trip, wherever they were going, on December 23rd. So my mother said to me, you know what? They're coming back 2 days before Christmas. They're not going to have a chance to get a Christmas tree. Let's go and surprise them. And my mother and I went out and we bought this beautiful Christmas tree. And we set it up in the living room with all the trimmings and all the lights and everything else. We didn't know anything. Well, that's what we did. The family comes home on the 23rd. The mother must have had a heart attack from the car because she drives by the house, and right there in front of in the window for all her neighbors to see is this enormous Christmas tree. They come into the house, and I'm standing next to my mother with big smiles on her face saying, welcome home. Look what we did for you. We put up a Christmas tree. Anyway, this woman was white, the wife was white, she just figured all the neighbors now, and all the stories and all the Lashon Hara. The first thing she did was she closed the drapes, and she didn't know what to do. The husband, now, he could have yelled at her and screamed at her and fired her. He brings her into the library, into his office, and he says to her, listen, that was a very nice thing to do. Jewish people don't observe Christmas, but that's a beautiful tree. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to move the Christmas tree into your room. You had a room in the house, let it be in your room. And it probably cost you money. Here's $50 or $100 to cover the costs and a little bit of a bonus for doing such a nice thing. The guy said, years later, I understood what we did. I can't believe we put up a Christmas tree in an Orthodox Jewish home. It's like it's crazy.
But they were not Jewish.
They're not Jewish. They were from Mexico.
Spanish.
But he said the Jewish man was so kind. My mother was a widow. She was, very sensitive. And he was so nice to her and let her keep the tree and gave her the money back, gave her a bonus. He never yelled at her, nothing. Now I realize what we did. From that moment on, I said to myself, whenever I have to write about the Orthodox community or about the state of Israel, I'll only write good things. I'll never write anything bad. That's what Rabbi Wein made me tell. That's the story. It's an amazing story. It's an amazing story. Because they did nothing wrong. Our first reaction when we see something that we don't like is we scream and we yell. And they would have accomplished nothing. And she didn't do this out of malice. It wasn't because, just like the brothers. The brothers, the first one, you got to be the king, boom, You don't realize what our words do or what our words can accomplish. He says, Rabbi Wein says, this was an amazing thing. That what he did for her was not embarrass her. And that changed everything that he was. Unbelievable. Okay. It says, Vayechi Yosef ezecho v'hem lo hikiruhu. Yosef recognized the brothers didn't recognize him. Okay. Some people say, why not? Because the brothers never looked at Yosef directly. When you come before a king, you keep your head down. So they didn't make eye contact. Maybe had they made eye contact, they would have seen him. Rabbi Yonasan Eibshit says they should have at least recognized his voice.
Yeah.
He says, but you know what? Yosef spoke Egyptian. When you speak a different language, it's hard to recognize a person's voice.
Yeah, and many years passed.
Many years passed.
22
So
years.
even if you could, later on, when Yosef spoke to them, he spoke to them the Lashon Kodesh in Hebrew. Then they recognized his voice. But when you're speaking a foreign language, you speak different. Your voice is different. The inflections are different. The accents are different.
But the kids, when they throw the stones, like them, they realize that it was only their family can do it.
Yeah, well, not always can you see. A person can't get themselves out of jail, as they say. Sometimes a person can't see what's right in front of them. When you're not expecting it, they didn't expect that. Rav Schwab, he has a different observation. He says Yosef sees the brothers, he recognizes them right away. the first thing you would think he thought about was, I remember these guys, they punched me, they threw me into a pit with snakes and scorpions, they wanted to kill me, then they sold me, not once, but twice or 3 times I was sold, then I ended up in jail. There are 1,000 things Yosef could have thought of that were negative. What does the Torah say? Yosef saw them, he recognized them, and he remembered, what did he remember? His dreams. That means Yosef was so focused. What kept him alive for those 12 years in jail? His dreams. He says people get depressed because they don't dream. They don't have a hope. They don't have a dream. They don't see, they're so caught up in reality. He says we all have to have dreams. Sometimes you go to sleep at night dreaming what happens if you became a millionaire, you become the lottery, what you would do. We all have dreams. The key is to keep dreaming until the dream comes true. And God willing, when the dream comes true, you'll know what to do with them. So Yosef, his dreams kept him alive. And he realized this was not the time for revenge. This was the time for his dreams. And he went back into his dreams. The first time, maybe 10 people bowed to me. I only see 9. So let's get the 10th one down here. Let's get Binyamin down. The second dream, the sun, moon, and stars. Means my father. We'll work on that next. He kept thinking about the dreams.
Step by step.
Step by step. And therefore he did that. Now, just out of curiosity, Yaakov sends the brothers down to Egypt because he says there's food. If you were Yaakov and you have at home 11 sons, how many would you send down to Egypt to get food?
2, 3, 4.
2, 3, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 2, maybe 3.
Yeah.
I wouldn't send 10 or 9 or 10. I wouldn't send a whole group. Why did he send so many? So the first answer is a very logical answer. There's food in Egypt. They're going to divide it up. If I come down to Egypt, the guy might say to me, okay, how many people in your family? Well, there's me, there's my wife, and I have 4 children. Got it, 6 people. If I come down and say, yeah, but I got 8 brothers, and they have wives, that's 16, and they have family, I need food for 150 people.
Why didn't
Wow.
come?
Right. What are the chances that I would get
Nothing.
food? Nothing. I'll be lucky to get from myself and my family. So Yaakov understood that. Yaakov understood that there's food.
Logical. Yeah.
Logic, you gotta come for yourself and your family.
Yeah.
So he had no choice. Binyamin he didn't send, and Binyamin had 10 kids. Yaakov didn't go down. Yaakov had some food behind anyway. But he figured, at least if I send 9 people, I'll get 9 baskets.
Why not 10?
Well, 10, right? Because you're right, 10. I'll get 10 baskets. So that was one. The other thing, of course, is the Medrash Tanchuma says that Yaakov said, I'm going to send 10, and there should be a minion. Because 10, a minion protects you. As a matter of fact, one of the Yerushalmi learns that a minion is 10 people from this psukim, that Yaakov sent 10 people. We see from here that the 10 people is a minion. Okay, so that was interesting also. So we understand why he did that. Of course, they went in through separate doors. They were looking for Yosef. He accused them of being spies. Now, the dreams of power. There were going to be 7 good years and 7 bad years. During the 7 good years, what would be the attitude of the people? They'd be happy. 7 good years. Okay? During the 7 bad years, what would the attitude of the people be? They'd be worried. They'd be upset. Bad years. So the Medrash says that the one country that did not enjoy the 7 good years was Egypt. Everybody else enjoyed the 7 good years, not Egypt. Why? Logic why? He says in Canaan they had 7 good years. So everybody spent their money and had their food and lived it up.
Oh, because they put the
But in Egypt,
Yosef.
there was taxes. 20% went to Yosef. And then they themselves heard that they put some of their food away, and of course it rotted away. He says the one place that couldn't enjoy those 7 good years were the Egyptians, because they were busy collecting all the food and storing it all away. So he says clearly the bounty was not enjoyed during the first 7 years either. There were rules, there were regulations. So it was only afterwards, in the bad years, when everybody was crying, the Egyptians weren't crying so badly. So they enjoyed the bad years better, they survived it better than most, but they didn't enjoy the good years. When a person works very hard and puts money away in life insurance and in his 401k and his pension, he's not traveling the world, he's not partying all the time. He waits till he retires for that. Then it's too old to travel the world. Then he wants to stay home and just relax. So he can never win, but that's what it is. Okay. When, according to the Torah, are Jewish people judged for tevuah, for wheat, for food? What yontiv are we judged for wheat? Pesach. Because we bring the omer, we bring the new fresh wheat, and then we bring it. Shavuos were judged for fruits, bikurim.
Yeah.
We have Tu B'Shvat also. It's interesting, when are the non-Jewish world judged for food? Rosh Hashanah. Because it says in the Nisan Tokev, Va'al ha-medinos bo ye'omer, and in the nations of the world it is said, Eze la ro'ov ve'eze la sova. Who will be satisfied and who will starve? And that's part of the Rosh Hashanah davening. Ashkenazim have that in their machzor. We say this in the Nisan Tokev. Do you have this in your Nisan Tokev also? Does it sound familiar to you?
I said it this year because I was by my Rabbi.
By your Rabbi. But that's what it says. Va'al ha-medinos bo ye'omer, and in the outside in the world, they decide who will starve and who will have food. The rest of the world is judged on Rosh Hashanah. Yosef came out of jail on
Rosh Hashanah.
That's how he knew it had to do with wheat.
But you take a share of everything.
Correct.
Because from the kings, you have to look. It's better, and even that there was Rosh Hashanah, you cannot shave nothing.
Neat and nice.
Neat and nice. The king
Now,
will respect.
of course, you understand that they didn't always keep the Torah in Chutz La'aretz.
Yeah,
It was in
because
Chutz La'aretz.
yeah.
And I'm not sure what they kept or did not keep on Rosh Hashanah. I mean, it was really a little bit of a strange situation.
And Barber
But
was
you're-
not Jewish going. That's what
At least the barber wasn't home.
Yeah.
Okay? No, at least the barber wasn't home.
Daniel Barber was not Jew going.
Okay? And Yosef got many, many gifts. Atzotia al-Besi, Paro put him in charge of his throne. Valpicho Isha Kolami, my whole nation will be guided by what the way you speak, by what you have to say. Paro gave him a lot of authority. Rav Moshe Sternbuch says Yosef was like a kollel guy, a yeshiva man. Most kings don't have respect for yeshiva guys. Yeshiva guys are sitting and learning. Get a job, get a real job.
They used to wear linen, right? All the Egyptians used to wear linen clothes, linen.
Right.
Because Ainara, they know about this.
Yeah, so
Even Yosef have it is the same
special
linen.
clothes and
Yeah,
everything
linen,
else.
Yeah.
So it was really very, very good. Now, the Moshe of Zakeni Mebalai Tosa says as follows. He says when the hunger came, so wealthy people could buy food. Just like the rest of the world bought food, wealthy people bought food. The poor people, Yosef gave the food for free. And the Kohanim, he didn't touch at all. He owed them a karatato because they saved his life. Eventually, Yosef took over all of Egypt. And all the money from the whole world was gathered in Egypt. They say Yosef had 3 different treasures, different people found them. But it's interesting. Hashem was already laying the foundation. He promised Avraham Avinu that Jews would go out b'rechush gadol. In order to go out with a lot, b'rechush gadol, they had to get all the rechush, the money, into Egypt. So the famine brought the world economy to Egyptians' doorstep.
So now they find it.
Now they have the money. Now the Jews took the money out when they left Mitzrayim. So it's very interesting how it came out.
The Levi also, they give the food for free. The Paro was doing.
Yes. Just the same way Yosef treated the Kohanim of the Egyptians special, Paro in return treated Shevet Levi special. There was this bizarre payback that existed. Don't understand it, but that's what existed.
They say the archaeologists will find a lot of gold in Egypt. Right now they find one grave, but people want to go and they trap it, they die because the tunnel.
And they get lost.
Yeah, and they could die over there. And when they find that one Paro was died 18 years old, His coffin was 1 ton of gold, 1 ton, big coffin our coffin. It's so much gold and diamond in front of him, say, and now he proved, they said it's Torah is a myth because
Right,
it was.
because B'chush Gadol.
Yeah. They said, where come this all gold? This phone coming from there. They don't
Correct.
know. 18 years old.
The Bryks had an interesting observation. It says the brothers came down. Yosef gave them food, took Shimon, hid him away, gave them food, and then he put their money back in their bags. Why did he do that? That's the Bryks wants to know. He says, what was the purpose for Yosef to return the money back to them? He could have kept the money.
Yeah.
Why did he give it back? So he says that Yosef wanted the brothers to come back with Binyamin. Okay? If they just had to come back for food, Yaakov might never have sent them back because he knew Yaakov had food. Yaakov was smart and anticipated it. He had food. But by giving the money back, Yaakov now was afraid maybe the brothers didn't pay for the food. He stole food. And he knew that his father would never let that happen. He would send them back just to settle the account. He says, Yosef knew his father. He says, for food, they wouldn't come back again. Just for food. Shimon is here, they'll worry about Shimon tomorrow.
To pay what they get, they come.
But Yaakov thinking maybe the food that we got is stolen because we didn't pay for it, or the money, there was a mistake. Yaakov was an ish emes. He would not keep $5 that didn't belong to him. So if the money is back in there, he has to send it back just for the money, which is what he did. And what he did was he sent them back with the money, plus double the money, and then he sent them back with gifts, right?
Yeah.
The nuts and figs and dates and all the different fruits. So the Bryks says that Yosef wanted to force the brothers back to Egypt for a return visit. Food alone, the hunger alone, wouldn't do it. But a monetary mistake, Yaakov would never leave it uncorrected. That's a fascinating answer. It's a fascinating answer to the psyche of a person. A fascinating answer. That's what the Bryks says.
What monetary mistake?
What?
Monetary, what's the monetary?
Monetary means money, a mistake.
Oh,
A
like monetary.
Right, a mistake in money. Okay, it says, that there are 2 times it says that Hashem lowered himself into a bush to show, I am with you in your pain. One time was by Har Sinai, right? Moshe came, Hashem spoke to him from a bush, a thorn bush. And what did Hashem want Moshe to understand? I haven't forgotten about the Jews in Egypt. Imo anochi b'tzor. I'm together with you in the pain. The other time that there is a mention of Hashem in a thorn bush is by Yosef. It says, Shochnei Sineh. Yosef had a revelation of Hashem in a bush, in a thorn bush. That means Yosef said, when I was in Mitzrayim, I knew that Hashem was with me. And I knew that if I was in jail, Hashem was in jail also. And that was the emunah and bitachon that Yosef had. That sometimes when you participate in a person's pain, just by showing that you share their pain, that seems to have a lot of what's involved. Okay, let's see what we can do over here. We're making good time. Chanukah a little bit. Let's talk for a moment on Chanukah. There's a Ramban, not Rambam. Ramban, he's a Rishon. He writes that the Hashmonaim were severely punished and wiped out. Why were they punished and wiped out? What was the Aveira that they did?
They acted like kings.
They acted like kings. That means after they destroyed the Greeks, or they defeated the Greeks, they took over the Malchut, even though the Malchut belonged to Shevet Yehuda. The story goes that there was a servant, an Eved, named Hordus, who put himself up as the king, but in order to show credibility, he wanted to marry someone from the Hashmonai family, was a girl, and she went up on the roof, and before she jumped off and killed herself, she said, Hordus has killed out the entire Hashmonai family, I'm the only one left. and I'm killing myself. So whoever says they are members of the Chashmonaim have to be slaves. And she jumped off. Hordas wanted to preserve her. He says he covered her in honey, so her body wouldn't decay. There's a medrash like that. And then Hordas killed out all the Chachomim, and then he felt bad. So in order to do tshuva, he rebuilt the second Beit HaMikdash. And they say, whoever did not see the building of Hordas never saw a beautiful building in their lives. The truth is, the Gemara seems to imply that the Chashmonaim weren't that effective soldiers to kill out the Greeks. And the Greeks were really split into two, Antiochus on top in Syria and Ptolemy down in Egypt. But the way they defeated the Greeks was they brought the Romans in. And that's when the Romans started to come into the area. That's why you have all these stories in Egypt of Mark Antony, Cleopatra, Julius Caesar, Shakespeare, all these stories. So it really wasn't so much. Now, that's the Ramban. The Rambam has a different story. The Rambam. Now, the Rambam doesn't often write history. The books of the Rambam are halacha books. Mm-hmm. And yet, in Perek Gimel, which is Hilchos Chanukah in the Rambam, I'm going to read you what the Rambam writes. It's very unusual. It's a history lesson. The Rambam writes, "B'bayit sheni, in the second Beit Hamikdash, kishamalchei Yovan gozru gezeros al Yisrael, when the kingdom of Greek passed laws against the Jews, ubatlu dosam, they began to cancel, nullify their religion. V'lo heinichu osam lasok b'torah b'mitzvos. They wouldn't let the Jews keep Torah and mitzvos. Shabbos, Milah, Rosh Chodesh, Yom Tovim, Korbanos, whatever it was.
Yeah, 5 things.
Uposhtu yodam b'mamonam. They began to take their money. Ubinoseim, and their daughters. V'nichnasu lahechal. They came into the Beis Hamikdash. Uportza bo protzos, v'timud hataharos. They broke walls in the Beis Hamikdash. Because there was something called the soreg. The soreg was a wall that no non-Jew could go into, past. And the Greeks hated that, so they punched 13 holes in it. And then they took all the oil and everything and made it tome. They brought a pig, they brought all these different things in there. So this is the Rambam telling you the story of Hanukkah. Very unusual for the Rambam to do this. V'tzarlem Yisrael ma'od, it was very painful for the Jews, mipnei, because of them. V'lochatzam lachatz godol, and they were under tremendous pressures. Until Hashem had rachamim on them and saved us from their hands. And saved them. And the children of the Chashmonae, the Kohanim HaGadolim, got stronger, and wiped out, killed out the Greeks. And saved the Jews from their hands. Now listen to the next thing the Rambam writes. Vehemidu melech min ha-kohanim, and they set up a king from the Kohanim. V'chozra malchus Yisrael yesra al Mosayim shona, and the kingship returned back to Israel for 200 years. Ara churban hasheni, until the second Beis Hamikdash was finally destroyed. So the Rambam writes as part of the story that the Chashmonaim set up the kingdom and put themselves in the position of kings. He doesn't say it's an Aveira. He doesn't say it was wrong. He writes it straight.
They were 200 years?
For another 200 years. I don't know if it was that much, but that's what the Rambam writes.
Kingdom with the Kohanim.
With Kohanim, but so clearly the Rambam has a reason why. So the Meforshim explain it's based on the Gemara Megillah. The Gemara Megillah has a very good question. The Gemara Megillah says, on Hanukkah we say Hallel. Mm-hmm. On Purim we don't say Hallel. Mm-hmm. Why not? That's the Gemara's question. Why on Hanukkah we say Hallel, on Purim we don't say Hallel? The first answer the Gemara gives is that on Hanukkah we were under foreign rule, and when we rebelled, we were free. We had our own king. Mm-hmm. Now we can say Hallel. But in the Purim story, after they defeated Haman, who was in charge? Still Achashverosh.
Yeah.
Yesterday Achashverosh was the king, and today Achashverosh is the king. Were the Jews free? No.
No.
Did they have their own kingdom? No.
No.
There's no how.
Not happening.
Right? So the Rambam says that the whole reason we say Hallel on Hanukkah is because the Chashmonaim became the king. So it was important to establish the king. Did they do an Avera? He says no. Why? Because you still had Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, and you still had the Yehuda. They were the Nesiim, they were the power, the political. The Chashmonaim just reestablished it just to get things back on track. But no one took it away from Yehuda. See, the Ramban has a different answer. The Gemara has a second answer. Very simple answer the Gemara says. Purim is a miracle that happened in Chutz La'aretz. We don't say Hallel on miracles in Chutz La'aretz. Hanukkah is a miracle that happened where?
In Yerushalayim.
In Yerushalayim. In Yerushalayim we say Hallel. So when Hashem saves us in Chutz La'aretz, it's a wonderful thing. We throw a party, but we don't have Hallel. But in Israel, we have Hallel. So the Ramban has a different answer. The Gemara has two answers. But the Rambam, he's of the opinion that establishing the kingdom was important. What's fascinating is the Mishnah Brura, the Chofetz Chaim. The Mishnah Brura in Hilchas Chanukah quotes the Rambam almost completely word for word, except he leaves one thing out. He brings down the whole story that it was the Yevonim and they took over, and then Hashem and the V'govru b'nei Chashmonai HaKatan HaGadolim, the children of the Chashmonaim overpowered them and destroyed them. And it says, V'chazra Malchus LiYisrael Yisrael Mosayim Shona. And the kingdom of Israel came back for 200 years. You know what he leaves out? He doesn't say that the Chashmonaim became the kings. The Mishnah Brura leaves that out. As if to say, I believe, he says, that the Chashmonaim did the right thing. They put the kingdom back, the kingdom of Yehuda. He leaves that out. He quotes the Rambam completely. He doesn't agree with the Ramban, and he doesn't put back that the Chashmonaim took it. He simply says, they put the kingdoms back the way everything was, and therefore the Chachamim came and established them for the future years, for Yemei Simcha v'Halel u'Madlikim b'Maneros v'Erev, on the doors of your houses, etc., etc.
They don't establish Hanukkah right away because
No, they waited 1 year to see how things were going. Just like Purim, they also waited 1 year.
because there was a lot of miracle happening with Beit HaMikdash.
But we have Hanukkah's 8 days because it took the oil burned for 8 days. And for the miracle of the war, there's a few things that we celebrate. It's a minor holiday. It's in the second Beis Hamikdash. There is a Megillah called Megillat Chashmonaim, but in the second Beis Hamikdash they didn't have Nevuah anymore, so they never became part of the Sefer Tanakh. And he says, and the different customs we have on Hanukkah. The custom is to give Hanukkah money. Yesterday was the 5th day of Hanukkah. So on the 5th day of Hanukkah, you're supposed to give out money to your kids. Why the 5th day? There's a fascinating answer. The 5th day of Hanukkah is the one day of Hanukkah that can never fall out on Shabbos. Hanukkah, the first day can fall out on Shabbos, the second day, the third, the fourth, the sixth, the seventh, the 8th. Depending on which year, any one of the days of Hanukkah can fall out on Shabbos. But the way the calendar is so structured, day 5 of Hanukkah never ever falls out on Shabbos.
Other days it happened, but
Any other day. So it was the 5th day of Hanukkah became the custom. That's the day we give out money. Because it's never suspended. It can never be, it's just very fascinating that's what it is.
How much money for children?
For children, listen, we buy presents, but presents are more modern day because of the time of year, December, They don't have Black Friday and Cyber Monday because of Hanukkah, you understand? These were not things that happened because of Hanukkah.
yeah, nothing.
The custom was to give Hanukkah geld, Hanukkah money. That was the custom. And how much do you give, again, it's for the kids to encourage them to learn Torah.
Happy to stay home,
Yeah.
play.
And then you can go spend the money and buy whatever you want. Trying to find out how much he got?
No, I said, he said it was yesterday. What about today? You can get today too.
You can get everything.
Huh?
There are some people who give out gifts every day, 8
Yeah.
days.
That's it.
Well, you have to gift every day?
No.
Once in 8 days.
One
Me too.
gift, the good
Yeah.
one.
Okay, and you put it under the menorah, like instead of the tree, just,
Yeah.
I don't know,
No,
just checking on you.
it's better to give the money to put in the bank.
Oh,
No room on the menorahs.
there's no room under the menorah. And Lefrak doesn't have any rules that you can't light menorahs in your
No.
apartment? Okay, at least Baruch Hashem, you're not getting tickets for that. You know. I'm doing Hilchos Shabbos, because a few months ago they came out, Dirshu, that we should redo Hilchos Shabbos. So the Shmir Shabbos Kilchosa, it's a book on Hilchos Shabbos. The original volume, they redid volume 1. So I got a copy of it, and I went through it cover to cover, because that's what I do. I take a book, I read it cover to cover. So now I'm in volume 2. And I figure maybe I should start coming up with a chumrah of the week, a halacha that you wouldn't have thought of. So the volume 2 is all about halachos neiros, lighting candles Erev Shabbos. So there's some interesting halachos. Again, Ashkenazim, when we light the candles, what do? The first thing we do is we light the candles. Then we close our eyes and we make the bracha,
You talk about menorah or Shabbos?
Shabbos.
Oh.
Okay, then we make the bracha. And then we open our eyes to benefit from the light. Okay, that's called over Lasiyos. Rabbi Vayechi Yosef was very much against that, and he tells all Sephardi women that what you do is you first make the bracha,
After that.
and then you light. Over Lasiyos, which is the way Sephardim do it. We don't do that, because we believe that the minute the woman makes the bracha, it's Shabbos. She can't light. Right? So that's what we do.
But
When we do the Hanukkah menorah, the same thing. We make the brachos first, and then we light. Yes, you were going to say something.
we not accepted from the lighting candle, it is accepted Shabbat to sell.
Right. You accept the Shabbat when?
Boikala. When you say boikala.
That's the
The
men.
man.
Yeah, man.
When do women accept?
Woman is, you can extend it for 15 minutes.
Not
No,
really.
when-
Women
when
accept
she-
it when she lights the
it.
candles.
But some of them you can extend it to.
If you have to, but
Yeah.
ideally, women accept Shabbat when they light the candles.
Yeah.
Now, what is it? The lighting of the candles or making the bracha? When starts Shabbat?
Bracha, then drink. So bracha, then light. That's what I say.
Well,
When you say bracha
Yes, sir.
first, then you drink. You don't drink, then you say bracha.
Is this
correct. So you do the bracha first, and then you
Bracha
light.
first, then light.
But Ashkenazim believe that the minute you light the
Light the candle,
candles,
you accept the Shabbat.
it is Shabbat. So, or no, the minute you make the bracha, it is Shabbat. So, on Yom Tov, it's no problem. You can make the bracha and you can light. But on Shabbat, if you make the bracha, boom, it's Shabbat.
Cannot light that.
I can't light. That's why we light first. Okay.
So why Sephardic like this?
He has a different minhag. Now comes the next
Why is
thing.
it different?
Because Sephardim like to be different.
Even
The
Shulchan
Bet
Aruch said.
Yosef.
Shulchan Aruch
Because of the Bet Yosef versus the Rambam.
The same Jew from the Avraham Avinu.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
Really?
Yes. Just I want to know. Okay, if somebody to invite you for Shabbos,
Yes.
but I'm gonna sleep at home,
Yes.
and after that I have to light the